GitHub Actions in 3 minutes. GitHub Actions is an automation tool built into GitHub. It enables you to automate so many tasks in your GitHub repository. It enables you to build, test, and deploy your application all in one place. The beauty of GitHub Action is that your code does not need to be somewhere else. So you have your code in the same repository, and then you also have your CI/CD tool in the same repository. When you are developing an application, you need to build the application, you need to test the application, and also you need to deploy them. And all of these sometimes tend to be manual, whereby you need to run all the commands like npm build, you need to run them manually on your local IDE, or you need to run them somewhere. But with GitHub Actions, all of these stages are automated. So you don't need to run manual code, manual command to package your application, to build your application, and also to deploy your application. You allow GitHub Actions to automate all of this. How does GitHub Action works? Now let's understand some of the components of GitHub Actions. Number one is a workflow. Now a workflow is just a YAML file that gives the instruction on how to run your CI/CD pipeline. It is everything within your pipeline. It specifies how to trigger the pipeline. It specifies how to run your pipeline, the jobs, and also on which operating system that those jobs needs to run on. Now, the second one is trigger. Just as the name applies, the trigger is what triggers the pipeline. There are so many things that can trigger your pipeline, and those things that trigger your pipeline are regarded as events. So if there's any event in your GitHub, it's going to trigger your pipeline. There are so many events that could trigger your pipeline. The first one can be on pull request. When somebody creates a pull request, that could also be act as a trigger, and also it is also an event. Secondly, when somebody make a commit to one of the branches, that's also going to trigger the pipeline. And also an issue. When somebody creates an issue, that could also trigger the pipeline. So you can see that there are numerous triggers or events that could trigger your pipeline. And the next one is called a job. A job are sets of instructions that run on the same virtual machine. Jobs are a group of steps. You can see the jobs as the end goal, and the steps are the tasks that are needed to achieve that goal. Now, for instance, a job could be build Docker image. Now, the steps that are taken to build that Docker image could be clone the repository, log in into ECRO or Docker Hub, build the image, and then push to ECRO. So those are the steps that are taken to achieve the jobs. And all the steps within the jobs run on the same runner. What is a runner? A runner is a virtual machine or an isolated environment that runs your job. Now, when your pipeline is running,